Level 1. You're a high school student. You started early in your political journey, and you always thought that you were more socially aware than people your age. You have a multicultural, mixed-gendered friend group that talks a lot about philosophy and politics. You guys even sometimes get into heated debates. But at the end of the day, it's all love. You realize that all you want is the world to be better. For most people, a news headline is just something you read and forget about. But for you, everything that happens in the world affects you deeply. Whenever you hear about poverty or war or global warming, you have a visceral reaction, and sometimes even your whole day is ruined. To see all this injustice, it brings tears to your eyes. And you never really understand people who just read something like that and just casually continue with their day. Each thing that happens in the world makes you want to take action, no matter how small it is. After learning about poverty, you start giving to charity. After learning about certain wars, you donate to people in Gaza. After learning about global warming, you start buying used clothes and reduce waste whenever you can. You kind of know you can only do so much alone, but surely the small steps count in some way. At this stage, you kind of develop a hatred for authority, and you become extremely protective of people around you. If your parents make a slightly racist joke, you get mad at them. If they control you, you get mad at them. You can't help it, even though you don't feel good afterwards. Level 2. You watch Fight Club and you kind of like it. Though most guys like it for its masculine posturing, something about its leftist themes really hit you. You're kind of not sure if that was supposed to be satirical or not, but either way you like it. And then you watch the more sincere version of Fight Club, Mr. Robot, and that really affects you deeply. You daydream about collapsing the capitalist structure and even get a bit into hacking. Level 3. At this stage, you start watching BreadTube YouTubers like ContraPoints, Hasanabi, H-Bomber Guy, and PhilosophyTube. You feel like you're giving form to your unconscious feelings. You always thought that the world was unjust, but you didn't know how to describe it. You know you're a left-wing and anti-capitalist, but BreadTube opens up a new world of ideologies. I mean, you're a leftist for sure, but are you a communist, anarchist, accelerationist, or an anarchist stoic Ba'athist? You have no idea. After reading a bit of Marx, Engels, Chomsky, and Kropotkin, you realize that we as human species have accumulated so much capital, and there should be no reason for there to be poverty. The injustice is mind-boggling, but you still kind of feel iffy about the authoritarian aspects of the communist transitional state, especially after the Soviet Union. So then you select what makes the most sense to you and become an anarchist. You also read Homage to Catalonia by George Orwell, and it makes you hopeful for bringing anarchism from theory to practice. Level 4. At this stage, you don't just support radical politics. You like the idea of being radical itself. There's an inner anger within you that finds an outlet with anarchism. Now your main pastime is going to the anarchist library and looking at leftist memes. At this point, you express your anger through petty crimes. You shoplift and graffiti. You also join your local leftist parties and clubs and regularly engage in politics. You join protests and write for the anarchist library, but still you kind of feel empty. It doesn't feel enough. Level 5. At this point, you've read and reread almost every important anarchist book. David Graeber, Emma Goldman, Kropotkin, Bookchin, Bakunin, Stirner, Deleuze. You also read a bit of Taoism, which you prefer much more to Confucius. At this point, you have no love for power, no desire to conquer or exploit, and no need for destruction or war. You're even able to see the authoritarian aspects of family and religion, and you become very radical. Even sex to you is something that should be satisfied as simply as drinking a glass of water. And at this stage, you even start looking at media from a leftist perspective. You see anarchist themes in One Piece and The Matrix. Foucault says that fascism is in us all, in our heads and in our everyday behavior. It causes us to love power and to desire the very thing that dominates and exploits us. But it feels like you have finally removed that unconscious feeling of fascism within you. You have ontologically become an anarchist. This is a new beginning. But now, truly is a time for action. It is not enough for you to be an ontological anarchist. There must be action to support it. So you decide your next move. Level 6. At this stage, it really hits. Something must be done, and fast. People are dying, the earth will collapse. You can't keep living like this. So at this stage, you go around the world finding like-minded people. You start living in leftist communes, and you start partaking in the struggles of humanity. You no longer see something as a struggle for Spanish people or Palestinian people, but you see it as a struggle for you and your comrades. You go to Catalonia, Exercia in Greece, Christiana in Denmark, and you partake in their fight. Whenever there is a struggle between the people and authority, who you see as the controllers of the means of violence, you do everything and anything you can to support your people. Level 7. You are an anarchist, not only ontologically but through your action. Every action counts. Writing a book, bringing food to protesters, donating to people in war zones. Everything helps in this collective struggle. You feel a deep connection with people and even animals. It's almost like a Christian love. You don't understand how these religions, who preach such leftist values, have their followers commit the most heinous discrimination. At this stage, you don't care about your life. All you care about is your people. You feel one with everyone. So, you go to the various anarchist sites in Latin America, you go to Chiapas, you go to Rojava, and you somehow even make your way to Palestine by fooling the Israelites. When you see what people outside your bubble are going through, tears well up in your eyes. You don't care about your life anymore. All you want to do is help these people as much as you can. The world might be unjust, but there is still hope for the world. You especially feel this when you meet these humble, great people, and you learn more from them than any textbook or school. At this point, you have become a true revolutionary.